We're so excited that you've joined us for today's live stream presented by RVTravel.com. Today's program will begin shortly. While we allow some time for others to join, we want to take care of a few housekeeping items. Everything presented in this live stream is true to the very best of our knowledge and experience, but we are human. Occasionally, we might be wrong. We don't want you spending thousands of dollars simply because we said something was good or fixing something according to what we suggested. Do your research, check your owner's manual, and seek assistance from your vetted and trustworthy certified RV technician.
So during our live stream, it's only going to get better if you participate. We'd love to hear from YOU. So while you're tuning into the show, please let us know what kind of rig you have, where you currently reside, if you're a part-timer, if you're a full-timer, and most importantly, what technical questions can we help you with? Feel free to submit your questions throughout the show. You can even start that right now.
During today's live stream, we may show you what we like to call cool tools. These are tools and gadgets that we actually use and we believe will be helpful to you. If you are interested in learning more about these products, please see the YouTube description box for more information.
During today's live stream, we will be doing a giveaway. To be included in the drawing, be sure to include a hashtag on the screen in your comments during the live stream. So let's get started.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to our Talking RV Tech Talk. We have Dustin and Zach from California RV Specialties. Along, I'm your host, Dave Solberg. Ashley's in the background, and Chuck is in the background as well. I see we have Michael Nerger with us from Pensacola. Hello, Michael. And Britt's back again. Britt won either last week or the week before the calendar or the radio. I can't remember which one, Britt, but hopefully you've got that by now. And this week we are going to be giving away a life straw. Terry already did the hashtag straw on there, so he got a jump on things. So this the life straw is a product that allows you to drink water from a river or stream or something if you get into an area in an emergency that you don't have good water with and you have to have something to drink with it. This life straw will completely filter out the bacteria and all the other stuff. It's a great emergency thing to have, and it's very inexpensive. But we're going to give that away. So hashtag straw, and we have Terry Hayes is with us again. Brett Miller Straw on there. I'm just going to let you know that we are in Northern Iowa. I am in Northern Iowa, and we have no degrees here, which means it's 0. And if that isn't bad enough with the wind, they take wind chill factor, and it's like, wow, okay. And we are supposed to get anywhere from 6 to 10 inches of snow and 50-mile-an-hour gusts. So welcome to the Midwest. That's why we're here. Snow's on the ground in Seattle, says Chuck. And the CT, welcome back. It's cold out, -20. Supposed to get down to -35 tonight. That's what.
Where are you from?
Yeah, CT, where are you from?
Where are you from?
That is no, thank you.
I think it's warmer in Alaska than it is now.
Hey, we've been cold all day, and it's only been what, like?
It's been like in the 40s.
35
like,
or 40.
it's so cold.
People don't like you, you know. You wonder why.
Look, there's fog over there.
Exactly. You wonder why. So, anyway, it's so cold here. We got new strains of flus and going. So, you know what the difference between bird flu and swine flu is?
Montana.
Dustin, do you know the difference between bird flu and swine flu?
No, we don't have any birds in California.
Well, with bird flu, you have to get treatment for it, and with swine flu, you just put ointment on. So we don't have any questions yet that have come up, but let's talk a little bit about one that I got on the email today, and we posted it. So there was a person, and I won't say the brand name, but he had a travel trailer. He called the factory about putting a Wi-Fi booster on, and they told him it would void his warranty. So
What brand
let's see what your comment. And he didn't say the brand of booster on it, but I did talk about the different boosters that are available out there, and what he could do. But what's your opinion on that?
I don't know. I get so annoyed, Dave, because like more and more you keep seeing manufacturers. If what kind of sealant did you use, or what you added an enhancement to it, we're going to avoid your 1-year warranty that we're not going to honor anyways. But
yeah. Well, and what I answered him is I thought pretty much that I spent 1.5 years in owner relations at Winnebago, and I would get these calls that come in that people wanted to put something in and do it. And if you're looking at cutting into something or fabricating, even like chassis components, all these people wanted to put all these different, the Sumu springs and all that stuff on there back before there was those. But at times those could void your warranty by the time you start getting in and messing with the original equipment stuff.
Yeah, if you're altering something.
Right. And I told him, I said, I think it's more of a cover your butt type thing, that you get so many people now are new to RVing that, you call in to customer service and you get somebody that really, doesn't know the product that well. And I told him, I said, if you're going to mount something to the roof permanently and you're going to drill in or cut holes, and you drill a screw into a 120 volt line and short out your air conditioner, that would void your warranty on that. If you mounted something to the top and you didn't seal the legs and you got water damage, that would not be a warranty. That wouldn't void the warranty. It's not a warranty issue.
Covered item, or issue.
Covered item, exactly. Any kind of sealant usually isn't a covered item like that. But there are dozens of different types of boosters, and then we did a video one time on it because I hear extenders, I hear boosters, I hear routers. What's the other one? Repeater. All these things do the same thing. They all take a Wi-Fi signal that's coming from a router, a modem at a campground or a Starbucks or a rest stop, and try to enhance it.
Yeah, we do a lot of Winegard 360s.
Yep.
The
gateways, the Connect 2.0s.
Yeah.
Recently, we started doing a lot of the Starlinks.
Yep. Keep going.
That, going back to that point of avoiding the warranties and stuff like that. I think it's really dependent upon how it's done. I mean, the manufacturer should be the ones to end all be all kind of thing. But if you have it done professionally, it shouldn't really be an issue.
Yeah. I mean, like, say, for example, if they took it to a shop, maybe not a mobile repair guy. So, I would check to make sure that they're licensed or insured. But if somebody brought something in here and we installed it and we didn't install it correctly, or we damaged something, liability wise, that would be on us.
Right.
So, I mean,
well,
they're not going to damage anything that's.
Yeah. I went through the basics. What's behind me here is the Winegard Connect 2.0.
Yep.
And that is just a router. They do have a version that's a 4G. And so the difference is that a typical booster is going to take an existing signal that's coming from a campground source and boost it back to Wi-Fi in your rig. Now, some of them have a 4G capability, meaning that they have a separate card in there that will find a phone signal, like a Verizon or T-Mobile or G4, and then you have to buy a data plan for those and get your Wi-Fi. So if you're going to be in an area without anything, the other thing that's pretty common is just this basic router, booster, extender. You know, you've got Netgear is probably one of the most popular.
Travel-Fi.
Well, this is the Travel-Fi.
Yeah.
This is the new Journey XTR, and I have not had a chance to use it yet. Other than I set it up, I was going to use it this weekend, but instead we decided to hardwire everything.
I'm sorry. So we've had a lot of customers really like the Connect 2.0 behind you. And then most of the units nowadays are coming with a WineGuard 360.
Yep.
But if you have a WineGuard 360 on your unit, make sure it says it's a 360 plus.
Correct.
If you have the plus, then it can't accept the gateway router to the bottom on the inside.
Right.
It's nice to have those. I mean, we have a couple YouTube videos on those that Ashley's done, and she's also in it, so they're kind of funny. But the interior one, exactly, that one right there, that one takes a signal from a half a mile away and gives you the ability to have something like 150 devices connected to it. The one that's on your counter back there, Dave,
Yep.
if that goes on the roof, that basically will get the signal for up to 2 miles away.
Yeah.
So, so there's differences on the interior versus the exterior, but it all depends on what kind of antenna you have and how sensitive you are.
That's something that a lot of people, like a big question that people ask is, why would I do that when I can just do a hotspot on my phone?
Right.
And those units, the gateways and the Connect 2.0s will reach out farther to hit a tower than your cell phone will. So you may have really low signal on your cell phone when you're using a hotspot, but having something like that will allow you to actually pick up a better signals.
Right. Yeah. Well, and that Air 360 looks almost identical to this. I have one up on the shelf, and I won't pull it down. But the nice thing about that is that it does such a phenomenal job finding television signals over the air.
Oh, yeah.
So it's over the air antenna plus, you put the
Wi-Fi
in there. Then it's a Wi-Fi booster or a 4G.
Yeah.
And it'll even do 5G if you get. But typically what you're going to find in campgrounds and camping and boondocking, you don't see a lot of 5G. Unless you're going to camp downtown Los Angeles.
That's so small too. I mean, I'm always asking the reps, like, hey, we're selling this product. And he said, Dustin, it's going to be years before everybody has 5G. And he says, even if they are in an area that has 5G, they're still going to receive the 4G. And it's going to be just as compatible as what they need to do. He said, there's not, because I'm always checking to make sure if we're going to sell something, I don't want to sell something to the consumer that's not going to be, it's going to come back or be an issue down the road.
Yep, I agree. So we got a question from Krista.
Right,
Yep, we've got a question from Krista. Let's hit that one. She's got a 22 Jayco J-Light in Arizona, and they wash it once a month.
Good.
Roof first, on the sides, waxed it once so far, but already noticed some black streaks and one decal in the front cracking. Suggestions?
So take a picture of the decal. Contact customer service at Jayco. Let them know that the decal is an issue. More than likely, whether you're going to take it back to a dealership or you have a repair shop in your area, see if you can get some kind of pre-authorization for them to install that, or at least you pay out of pocket, they reimburse you if it's a non-Jayco dealer.
Mm-hmm.
But since it's so new, double check your roof, double check your sealants. We always get owners that will send us pictures, and then we kind of double check them for them. As long as it's real good quality pictures from different angles, but make sure that everything's thick and sealed up correctly.
Yep. And I
adhere to the roof properly.
Something she didn't. I'm going to put this back up here. She said that they wash it once a month, roof first, then sides. And one thing that's really important is always keep the sides wet.
Yep.
Before you wash that roof, because as that chalky stuff comes down, it's going to start to dry on the sidewall, and you're going to have a really difficult time to do that. I would also, she didn't mention anything about conditioning.
Yeah.
So if you just wash it and you don't put some kind of a conditioner on that, and I'm assuming that Jayco has probably the TPO or maybe the Alpha systems on it. Now, Alpha, there's some of them that say they don't have to condition it.
Yeah.
So if you do, then
I'm a big, so Krista, if you're going to tell me, hey, don't go out in the sun because you're going to burn your head. Same thing with that TPO roof. Even though your owner's manual may not tell you to apply something to it,
Yep.
I don't have to either, but put something on it. It's just going to preserve it.
Well, and I ran into this. We talked about this, I think, last week. I was talking to the Sharpline guys, and they make probably 75 or 80% of the decals out in the country. And up in Canada, they're called decals. I learned that. But this is a product that they have been researching at Sharpline. They don't recommend putting any other products on that, but this will double the life of your that's the rejects. Exactly. It'll double the life of your decals, according to the Sharpline technician that I talked to. So that's pretty cool.
One last thing on the roofs, besides treating the roof and cleaning the roof, it's very important, at least to me, to pass on to whoever's watching right now. Get up there with some 303 or some type of plastic preservative. Put it on your skylights. Put it on your, air conditioner covers. Put it on if you have a Winegard Connect 2.0 or 360. Yep. Anything that's plastic, vinyl, or rubber, apply that stuff too. It's going to preserve it and protect it and save you, a ton of money as time goes.
And Arizona can be pretty tough.
Yeah.
In the
really, I don't think I have. There's a new product out. Protectol has that all-purpose cleaner that's got UV protection in it, and they're claiming that it's great for plastics and fiberglasses. And
we always use Protectol. I love most of their products.
We actually have both 303 and that Protectol product on our shelf.
Yep. Good. Okay, so we have here.
Make sure you guys are getting your hashtag straw if you want a chance to win that live straw.
There you go. All right. And it's hashtag Zach if you want to win a date with Zach. Or no, that was a different website. I'm sorry. So Brett has a Cedar Creek Hathaway 34-1K. My RV has traveled close to 10,000 miles in 4 years since purchased. I'm thinking it's time or past time to retorque all the various bolts, such as axle U bolts, suspension bolts, bolts under the slides, etc. What other major bolts should I check, and where specifically do I look for these torque specifications? So
it depends on the axle. If it's Dexter has a really good chart of all the torque specifications. So does Lippert. So does Alco.
Yeah.
The main thing I would say is on that Cedar Creek, that's a Forest River product. I would question what type of equalizer you have, what kind of springs do you have? Do you have a Moride kit on it? Do you have a Dexter kit on it? Have you checked into doing a Roadmaster slipper spring kit? That kit's real popular right now. It's lifetime guaranteed on the springs and the shocks. It actually reduces 80% of the G-forces that are shaking in the coach, which we keep discovering that's damaging a lot of the slide outs, like the Schwintek slide outs. And then they say their claim is that it will reduce the tire wear by 25%. So, it's a good overall system. But all of them do some, all of them help a little bit. So see what you have on there, Brett, and, check into it.
I don't know that torquing all the, the U-bolt brackets and all that kind of stuff is something that most of them recommend.
Yeah.
They recommend to inspect them. You get underneath some of those things after 10,000 miles, and you'll see some of those what's it called? I just had anyway. The bolt hole will actually have elongated.
Yeah,
and it's got a lot of in the shackles and stuff like that. So a really good inspection underneath it, and once a year at least, you should take those wheels off and check and lube the bearings according to what you have. What bearings?
Yeah.
You're right.
Most of the nuts and stuff that are underneath of there are either nylock or one side of them is tapered, so that way they actually don't back themselves back out. There's not really a whole bunch that you have to do. Wherever you're taking them, I mean, like you guys said, follow the manufacturer. Whatever the manufacturer tells you to do, that's what you do. But when you're taking it to a shop, or whether you're doing it yourself once a year, you got it up, you're doing your bearing pack brake inspection, suspension inspection. If you want to throw a torque wrench on there and just to verify that everything's within spec, but more than likely, unless something is actually broken, failed, or damaged, it's not just going to back itself off.
Okay. Sounds good. So Krista came back that they used the Dicor roof cleaner, which is fine. I'm a big fan of Dawn dish soap, the blue soap, because it's environmentally friendly, and it really does a nice job on tar and tree sap, that type of stuff. So everybody has their own.
Krista, when you run out of the Dicor, try the Protectol. That's what we use here. We like that. I've physically, tried them all.
Yeah.
So
Now for the sidewalls, I do know that Chemlight,
pressure washer.
yep, Chemlight and Crane, same company. You know, for the fiberglass sidewalls, they recommend using McGuire's and with the Carnauba wax. I think I have.
But like Protectol makes a good quality wax too. They're actually Protectol, main product.
Yeah.
It's 7 products in one. It also helps protect the decals too, and the plastics, and you can put on the glass, aluminum. Chrome,
they make everybody's going to make a.
Everybody makes,
things, I mean, it's whatever's going to work best for you.
Yeah. So Marcia has a Keystone Arcadia 2022 hashtag straw. So I do have a question for Ashley or for Chuck. If the hashtag straw is in the body copy of that, does that still count, or does it have to be a separate hashtag straw? So if one of you two could clarify that for us and just make sure that, those that have got a comment and then put that in are okay. So Joe has a fifth wheel, 40-foot fifth wheel, not pre-wired for solar. I'm asking what would be needed to get the inverter to power select 120 volt outlets. Should I install new outlets, use a transfer switch, etc.? Zach's our solar guy.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on what you're trying to do. So like when we go through and we set them up, whether they're pre-wired or not, a lot of times if you get something like any of the larger Go Power inverter chargers, or they have a pre-built-in transfer switch in them, so you don't have to get a separate transfer switch. Some of the other nicer ones do that as well.
Different to like the pass-through, right?
Yeah, so he's talking about using a transfer switch. You can install new outlets if you want to. We just wire the entire distribution panel, and then the customer needs to be selective about what they're going to use. That's the way that we go ahead and do it. So that way we can take that incoming line that normally would come in, and that's what's going to come from now the inverter charger into that panel and liven everything else, because the pass-through side of that inverter charger is still going to allow you to use the regular shore power. So it really depends upon what you want. Doing it that way, I feel, is easier. A lot of times too, what we'll end up doing is leaving the converter in place, but we'll either have it unplugged or we'll turn the breaker off. So that way, if the system fails down the road, you still have something. You can now plug that back in or use that breaker. Now you can still charge.
Right. And you typically would see like this, and you've got the breakers, and this one would be for the converter, which is right off to the outside. But this is this is a Progressive Dynamics.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I mean, to kind of it's up to you. Whatever you feel like you want to do. If you want to sit there and try to run all that stuff, I feel like that's a pain in the butt.
Yep.
You can wire the whole distribution panel and then just be selective about what you're using. If you have a 2,000 watt inverter charger that gives you 16 and a half amps roughly. So when you're on the inverter, that's what you have to play with. You just need to be mindful about, hey, what does this pull? What does that pull? So that way, if you're running multiple breakers, you're not overcomping what that is.
And Joe, I'm sorry, Joe, all I was going to say is depending on whatever brand you're using, like if it's Go Power or Zamp or whichever company you're going with, get to know their tech support guys. See if they'll do some FaceTime with you, so you can say, hey, here's what I'm looking at, or be able to email them a picture or whatever. If you get stuck, don't, if you're not familiar with it, don't hurt yourself or damage the coach or, cause something that.
Yeah. And Go Power and Zamp are now owned by Dometic.
Yep.
So
company.
They're not fighting each other and, giving. So either one you call. But Zach, do me a favor and talk a little bit about portables versus on the roof panels.
As in just in general?
Well, in the same setup that he's wanting to do. I like the portables myself because, you think about it, the reason you need solar panels is you're boondocking. You got to recharge those batteries. You're not plugged into something. So when you're going out someplace, you have to be out in the sun to get that roof mounted panel to be able to get the solar charging power. Well, that means you're going to run the interior temperature up 20, 30 degrees out in the sun. And since you don't have power, you're not going to run the roof air conditioner, so you got to run a generator. So you get underneath the sun and you put those portables out. So how would he hook that up in that same scenario?
So number one, is solar is the only thing solar is doing is charging the batteries. Just so everybody's on the same boat there. That has nothing to do with your inverter system is separate from that. Your transfer switch is separate from that. Solar is just charging the batteries. If you're trying to run a solar plug-in setup, you can mount that, run it directly down to the batteries, and then it's a plug and play. We don't sell as much portable stuff here as we do roof mount. Though California has a lot of nice weather and other nice things, there's a lot of crime. So people tend to snake a lot of portable stuff.
Plus if putting it on a roof, a customer's always concerned with, hey, putting it on a roof. It's no more concerned than anything else that's on your roof. But
he's right when it comes to charging. Like if you're not, whenever a solar company or anything is listing you information regarding a solar panel, what's most important over everything is the charging amps. A good way to think about it is like voltage is you touching something and amperage is you pushing it. So the more, voltage, it's easier to push something, right? So a lot of times what you're looking at is the actual charging amp rate. So like 190 watt Go Power panel charges at 9.4 amps, but that's optimal. That's like direct sun overhead, panels clean, everything's perfect.
Say panels clean.
Yeah, if you're off to the side, and the sun's barely coming, you've got a lot of tree coverage, whatever it may be, you're not really pulling that. Where having a portable would be nice because you could just run it out to the side where, 10 feet away, you have perfect sun.
Yeah. The only downside of a portable that I have seen is if you do a lot of, sightseeing and out away from your rig, it's out there easily for somebody to take. Yeah. But they're so easy to set up anymore. They're suitcase style, swing open, and they got alligator clips, or you can put an actual side port in. Now, most of your trailers now are coming with a side port on. And you're right. The nice thing in the morning is that I can angle that right towards that 8 o'clock sun, where that unit on the roof is probably not only going to get about a 6-hour charge.
And they do have some of the roof mounts that you can angle too. You can direct.
You can get mounts.
Yeah, you can tell them. Something else too, if you're going to install solar, or maybe you have, contact your insurance. Let them know that you've added solar panels to the coach.
Yep.
That way, if a tree branch or a pine cone or something falls and drops, or somebody again crawls up on the roof, because them panels are expensive.
Yeah. Well, and that's a good point with anything that you add, modify, bring in. I do seminars at the RV shows. In fact, we're going to go to Florida here the 18th through the 25th, I believe it is. And one of the things I bring up is that make sure that you get an insurance company that is RV related, that knows RVs. You just call up your home or your car insurance company and say, hey, I just bought this, XYZ amount of unit, and they're only going to give you book value for it. And there's so many variables. Some of the contents aren't covered inside, and that's a great point there. I've worked with Nationwide, I worked with Progressive. You hear some of the stuff that you go online and in 15 minutes you get a quote, and Geico's done a nice job of kind of, getting into the RV industry, so I'm not picking on them, but there's some of these places that you just go after the cheapest quote and you are not going to be happy because there's no rep to talk to. And go online and try to get that claim done. That's a good point of bringing up. Get an RV specific insurance company and make sure that they understand.
They have full timer policies now too.
Oh yeah, yeah. They got replacement cost coverage. So let's say you get a great deal on something, you buy it right, somebody's liquidating it, and you total it. Now all of a sudden you're not going to find another one at that price. And so they have these, replacement cost coverage. And so anyway, we won't go way into insurance. We'll lose everybody. Let's talk to Arlene. Oh, I got one more joke. What is the difference between your wallet before you bought an RV and after you bought an RV? Okay. No. There are pictures after you bought the RV. There are pictures in the place where your money used to be.
Oh, yeah. That's the truth.
That is the difference. So it's not a matter of if. Thank you very much. I can be there all week. Okay, so the next question came from Arlen, who is from Swansboro, North Carolina. Question: how can you test your proper anticipation setting
I haven't messed with the
I didn't anticipate that word coming up. On a mechanical RV thermostat used for heat floor basement aquahot system. Why I asked the original thermostat is set. So are you guys familiar with the aquahot system?
So we had a gentleman that used to work for us, actually Dustin's stepfather here, who used to be very in depth on aquahots. And he has passed away. Unfortunately, we do not play with aquahots. There is a mobile gentleman in the area that is the only certified guy around here, and he takes care of them. So we do not.
Yeah, I haven't even touched one myself, Dave, in 10 years.
Okay. And I kind of cut my teeth at Winnebago, and we never used aquahot. And I did
just too many issues with them.
And it was always on the big boys. It was such a small market, and I remember going out to see my in-laws in Longmont, Colorado, and that's where aquahot was for many, many years. And I drove right by the factory every day. And
there's a couple other ones.
But I did do quite a bit of research. We had a couple questions that came up here just recently. One was on winterizing. Another one was, I can't remember exactly what it was, but maintenance, that's what it was. But I did not get into the anticipator setting. So I would recommend that, maybe post that and see if we can get a little bit of research on it, do a little bit of work on it. But it's getting to be a more popular system because it's not quite as susceptible to leaks and freezing. And, it had some issues in the early days that of
2005 or whatever.
Boys. Yeah.
I know you're kind of far away, just because I know it offhand. The gentleman in the area, his company's name is Sarge's Satellite. I know he does a lot of like over the phone stuff with customers, just because matter of fact, like 2 days ago, I talked to another guy about it, and he called him while he was standing in my showroom, and the guy was like tech supporting with him over the phone. So it may be worth a call. At least he may be able to give you a quick answer, or just call aquahot directly.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, I called aquahot and I talked to one of their technicians at length on the maintenance that they require on it, and then he showed a video on how to tear the whole thing apart and get into the inner cones and clean that stuff up. So I think you'd be able to get a little more, and the thing that I've learned, I've been in this business since 1983, and it's almost like every day something comes up new that you're jumping into, and especially today when they're the market 600,000, you see all these residential devices now coming into the RV industry, and it's really hard to keep up, So, all right. So Terry says the rubber seal above my large slide is cracked and under a slide topper. How difficult is it to replace?
Hey Terry, so first I would say check out what type of slide out you have. Most of them are able to unroll the tube a little bit to pin it through a key slot on the side. Then you can simply unbolt it and take it and pick it up and set it on the roof is what we do. Or if you had to, take it completely off. But that's typically what we would do when we go to like clean them or service them, or we're doing like the repair tape to the Eternabond on the roof or a wiper seal. So look up that slide out. If it's a Dometic, Carefree, or Lippert, there'll be instructions on how to pin it, and then you can take it up off the roof, and then you can get in there and see what type of slide out material you have. Make sure it's available before you just go in there and start tearing it off.
Yep.
Some of them you can only buy 50 feet or 100-foot minimums.
Yep.
So, and when you call to like a dealership or repair shop, there's thousands of slide out seals. So it's not like you can go, oh, I've got this year make and model, and here you go.
I wish my job would be easier.
Yeah.
So Winnebago uses this. It's just it's a double-sided bulb seal, and it's got a channel that runs in the center of it with a wire mesh in there. So they just they put that over the flange, and it seals coming in and going out. But most of the manufacturers are going to use a flap seal up at the top, and they'll have the gasket inside. Trimlock is another good company that carries thousands of different rubber gaskets. So if you can't find what you have, at least get a picture of it.
Yeah,
and
measurements. Yeah, CSC is another one.
Yep. So
they're going to be self-adhesed in a track on a channel, screwed down, stapled down. I mean, they just put it on there however they want to. So.
Yep. Sometimes you can go inside, and I'm not. It didn't put the rubber seat. It didn't put what make and model of it is, but I've seen where a lot of times you go in and take the upper fascia, that decorative board that they have from the inside, and then you run it, you run it out, extend it out to about where you got at least a foot still in there, and then you can get at that flap from the inside. Sometimes it's just a series of tacks or staples along the inside. So okay. All the way to
straw. Yep, hashtag straw.
Dustin, get a chance to talk about slide out sleds. Since it's Christmas, there you go.
So thank you for the question. So the slide out sleds, they've been around for a long time.
Different versions.
Versions. I want to say the one that was in my article or my YouTube video that I put on was a newer version that's made by AP Products, and it's typically called a slide out sled. So that one is it's an ABS plastic, and it's got a foam pad, black pad on the bottom of it. That one was more designed for the linoleum type of rooms that go in and out. So depending on how long the room is, obviously start out with 2 on the ends. Depending on how big the room is, you might get an additional 2 for the middle. And that's basically, it's not, some people in the comments were saying, hey, that's going to change the height of how the room goes in and out. No, it's not. That room is resting, like say it's a Schwintek. It's resting on rollers that go in and out anyways, and that's not going to alter or damage the Schwintek. I mean, not unless you wedge something in there with it, but you're basically going to butt that up on the inside of the wall, run the rooms up, and it's a padded material, so as that room's there, it's not sitting there rubbing. The older versions didn't have a pad on it. They actually had some teeth that would grip into the carpets to protect the carpets on the sides so that it wouldn't dig in and make a groove, in the carpet. So, if you have carpet, there's a slide out slicker, I think is what it's called.
Lippert has one too.
And then Lippert has one too. So there's 3 or 4 different variations. There's even one that I see now on Amazon that you can cut to fit, because some of them are the slide outs are real short. You get one that's, forgot what the standard length of it was, but it was pretty significant. So
sticks out in the walkway.
One thing that we found on these that seemed to help a lot, people make the mistake in thinking that like replacing the floors and stuff is like a house, and it's not.
Yeah.
And so
protect your lino.
Yeah, what they'll end up doing is they'll have a slide system where the unit would come up on like a Teflon pad, and then when it would crest that pad, it would rest on the carpet, and the carpet would kind of be the glide as the rest of the way in. People will rip all that out, and then they'll put like laminate flooring or something in. Well, the unit no longer can sit on that carpet to ride inside, but there's not enough room to put rollers underneath of it. So instead of the floor being ruined a year down the road because the room just keeps tipping into it, these help eliminate that. It doesn't get rid of all of it, or it doesn't, it's not the end all be all, but it definitely protects and makes it last longer.
Especially if you have a new lino to lino floor. That's my concern, is that we don't want to do lino in them unless absolutely necessary. There's nobody that comes in here and says, hi guys, I don't like the color, let's change it. Typically the only time that's getting changed is when insurance is involved. You've had a tire blow out and go through the floor, or the slide out, something broke on it and it tore the floor, or a slide out rollers damaged it. I mean, it's not something that's easy.
No, we did one in a 2000 and
difficult.
Yeah, we changed the carpet out in a 2000 Winnebago Brave because the carpet was horrible, and we got a padded vinyl company that wanted to come in and do it. And the challenge we had was the room had a plastic roller, basically, the U-shaped, and it just would glide across the carpet. Well, it pushed this vinyl. Yeah. And so we had to go with the thinner pad of the vinyl, and we had to glue it where that slide was at, and it had to be a certain kind of glue that is only found. We ended up calling it the motorhome from hell, which it was. So, 2 years later, we finally got it finished because the technician that came out from the host company threw his hands up, walked away, and said, "I'm not coming back."
Every time somebody's gone and ripped it out themselves and tried to do it themselves, and they've gone back with like a flooring company to try to install it, and it's just not understanding. condensation, flexing in the coach. You run into stuff that you don't know that's underneath the carpet.
Yep.
You run into different joints and seams that you're not aware of.
Oh yeah.
And having to remove the rooms in order to install those.
Yeah.
And so we see them and we just kind of cringe and go, okay, well, everything that's in there have to come out and restart over fresh. Because it's usually, like you're saying, it's buckled something.
Yep. So Mike has a question here. It says, looking to install a bed tilt system to raise the bed and move the foot inward just to create extra space at the foot of the bed. I'm having a hard time finding a DIY kit. So it looks like he wants to raise the bed. So a lift system and move that in. So I have not seen any.
I don't know if you're talking about like adding struts to lift the bed, or Lippert actually makes a bed like a lift tilt thing where it's half a Schwintek, and what it does is it like sucks the bed halfway. Then when you want to put it, it goes and lays back down. They don't make a DIY kit. They don't make a plug and play kit. They don't. You have to. All those units are just like I said, it's like half a Schwintek if that's what you're talking about, and they're cut specifically and designed to fit that bed platform style. So it's a lot of fabrication to do. Same thing with the lift. If you're talking about lift struts, you have to measure it out. You got to get your little ball mounts. It's not just a plug and play.
Mike, back in the day, we used to do a lot of handicap stuff. And a couple of them that we modified ourselves was you took the frame of the bed, the end of it, and basically we cut it and then built onto it to where it could extend past where it would actually, my hands are growing, or it would slide, over it to almost like a drawer apparatus, so that we could put rails on it with additional rollers that would still hold the weight of the mattress. And then we did that. So we basically whacked it off, widened it a bit to compensate so it could slip over it, or you could go into it depending on what's there with some drawer guide rails on the side. We used heavy duty rails with rollers on them. And then we did take the bed platform and did the shocks on it to lift it up. So that could be like a homemade option, if there's something you want to do, but
yeah, I would recommend, there's a lot of companies going back to that front bunk on the motorized. They used to have a bunk up above, and they went away from it for many years. Now I see them back in again, and a lot of those have some type of a raise and lowering system that you might be able to fabricate by building the pedestal, the foot of your bed, the pedestal a little shorter, and put some kind of a tracking system.
I think he's trying to accomplish more space to walk around the bed.
Yeah. So, there are a few things out there that are in other applications, but nothing that I've seen that's in there. So, all right, let's go to when doing generator service, Onan specifically, do you stick with Onan branded filters and oil, or do you use other brands? What do you guys do?
They're always going to recommend to use the right stuff. I'm going to tell you that when it comes to actual replacement parts and filters and stuff, I pretty much have always used whatever the brand is. Oil, we've definitely used other brands of oil because that's all going to be roughly the same, as long as you get the specific weight for that temperature range and whatnot.
Yep.
So that's where you can kind of save if you're doing it yourself. But if not, stick with the Onan stuff.
Yep.
At least the replacement parts.
Yeah, I was going to say, check with Napa on the oil. I mean, that's what we do. And we basically provided them 2 empty bottles of the 30 weight, and I think was it
1540?
1540, yeah.
Yeah.
They gave us a compatible. I mean, they checked to make sure this got it. And there's tons of different stuff on oil, but
and Onan in their service manual will give you the specifications for I can't remember the code, but it's like an ASCS.
It had to meet the requirements. Yeah.
Right. And I do know, I grew up in high school working at a gas station. I had my own gas station for a while, a standard oil back before they were back when they were really good. And we did service work and we pumped gas. What's that? I still pump gas. Anyway, we went through a lot of different seminars on the quality of fuels and oils and filters. And, we saw some comparisons with, let's take Fram for an example. Fram has about 5 different levels of quality. They have one quality that's for the big box stores that sell them for, back then it was $2.99, and you cut those apart and you see half the filaments inside of those, and they're designed for very minimal use. People that are changing their oil 3,000 miles or have 100,000 miles on their car and they don't really care too much, and there's different grades, and that's what's Onan is saying is that the type of paper used in the filter, because they mostly have a paper weave inside that oil filter, and the thickness of it and the flow rate that'll it'll go through. So there's not only the filtering of particulates, but then there's the flow and how it will congest up. Air cleaner, same thing. You start buying these knockoff stuff, and I'm not saying you can't. There's a lot of people out there that have used other products out, but if you don't want to void your warranty, you better make sure that you use that specific product that's a good product and document it. But the oil, I agree 100%. Oil is you'd be surprised at how many mixes there are that just labels are passed back and forth. It used to be that there was a big difference. Pennzoil was made with a fossil fuel oil, and Quaker State was an ash-based oil from a different part of the state. I think now they're pretty much the same. Anyway, I digress. Probably need to do
We'll do a mobile oil one later.
We got to do a cool tools section. So Dustin, you can go up first.
You're up.
All right. So basically, it's whether you're an RV repair tech or just a owner, it's always good to have a good impact gun or even just a drill gun. We've always liked DeWalt. We've always had good success with it. Making sure that not only with your drill gun, there's a lot of different features nowadays. This one's just one of the cheaper ones that they have, but they have ones that are variable speed, adjustable, but it is an impact gun, and we use those quite a bit. On our gun, like I have one in my hand here, on the top of it, it's basically got your low and high. That's push button.
I call that's for contractors. One setting is for hourly. That's the slow setting.
That's what it is.
And the other setting is for by the job.
By the job, yeah. And then the other cool things that they do that they didn't used to was like the gun you have, Dave. Like I can push my button here. Where's my picture at? I can push my button. Oops, can't get my finger on it. And it'll tell me how full my battery is, which anyways, it'll tell you how full the battery is based off low, medium, high. Same thing on the top. It's all got some kind of a LED light on it to get what strength we're on.
Yeah. Well, you bring up a good point, but that one is like $79.95.
It's actually on sale right now, so it's a really good gun.
It's a great gun.
It's lightweight and easy to get underneath cabinets and in tight places.
What I like too is it's short.
It's short. Yeah, that's what I like too.
This one, and in an RV, I can't get this too many places.
Yeah,
I use it on the outside, but I have one of those DeWalt's.
And this is a 12-volt gun, and it's just as strong as the 20 volts. They got a light on it too, so that way if you're underneath the cabinet, you can see what's going on. Yep. The other thing that's nice too is make sure you're having, a good impact drill bit, and there's different tips. So Phillips or Robinson is usually the two common ones, but an impact bit is a lot better than your standard. That way you're not tearing off the heads on it. So
one thing I want to jump in on that.
Yeah.
If you are going to do it, it doesn't matter whether you're using DeWalt, Rigid, Milwaukee, anybody, right? If you're going to use an impact driver, make sure you get one that is variable like that, because if you don't, you're going to be doing whatever you're doing and you're going to break the heads off of screws.
Yeah.
So either use something that's variable, which is the preferred option. You can use like a regular drill, but they're not going to work as effectively as something like this.
So like yours is probably a clutching. So that's what I was saying. They have a clutching mechanism on some of them. Yeah. That's a limiter. And then
you have to have that, or
when you get used to using it, when you get used to using on the different selectors of it, like I said, there's different low, mediums, and high. When you get used to the low, after you put in so many screws not to, hey, I got to back it off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That way you're not, embedding something or breaking off a head like Zach's saying.
And just to add to that, something that's really important, I think, with whether you use an impact or a regular drill style screw gun, know your screws. Number 2 is probably the most common that's out there, but I see a lot of manufacturers that are going with the bigger, heads. So you're going to have to get a different, screwdriver bit on the tip, on the end. This is a number 2 right here, but then there's a whole Torx and the Allens and that type of stuff. So, one of the things that we've got 4 or 5 kits that have almost like 100 different tips, because it seems like every time I work on something, they come up with something totally different. That's a star or a square or
even a security bit.
Yeah. All right, Zach, what do you got?
All right, so we have a little video to kind of show you more in depth about what this is. For those of you who actually go through and do a little bit more like maintenance in yourself and diagnostic, you'll come to find that RVs are not. There's no color code for the wiring. A lot of times there's not. A wire disappears into a wall, and then when you think you find it, it's a huge spaghetti mess.
Always in white.
Yeah, well, yeah. Winnebago is, I think, one of the only companies that really does it. And theirs isn't color coded, but it'll say like it's W1 or W2 or whatever, and that's the only way to track it.
All their wires are stamped.
Nobody else does that. This will help you, find out and kind of track where you're at. I think, like I said, we have a little video that we're going to be throwing up.
Yep, let's run the video.
Water heater's not working. You've already kind of gone through and done a little bit of searching using a test light that we talked about previously. Here it's your switch. That's your switch. Here's your water heater. You've got good power here. Checked your fuses, everything there. But the wire's dead down at the water heater. So using something like this will give you a basic idea of trying to figure out somewhere in line, because as we all know on these RVs, when you start doing a little bit of digging, you find massive bundles and messes of wire with no labeling, no color codes, no anything. This one here has a lot of different options for different connections. This is kind of a basic idea that I'll show you. So now I'm connected to my switch. I can use my probe and I can go through. Obviously you see it's faint, they're making contact. If I go here, nice and loud. So as I'm going through and digging, I can go through, okay, I know it's in this loom. Now I can go through and I can pinpoint my wire and I can trace it all the way through. Okay, now it's dead here, I've got nothing. But come back here, come to find out there's a staple in the wire or something similar that's grounding that wire. But this will allow you to kind of track through those big harness messes that are there. These are your alligator clips. These are what you're going to be using to connect to positive and negative wires. These are probably what I use more often than not, especially when testing certain areas. These two here are both different styles of RJ data cable connections, whether you're using like phone lines or communications. Some of the MaxAir remote wall remotes use connections similar to these. This one is going to be specific for coax. This way you can tone out your coax connections. A lot of people you will find use this, especially when testing from the fuse distribution panel on. This one is designed to connect into a fuse slot, the outgoing fuse slot, so then you can trace outward from there.
Great.
Ta-da! Great job, Zach.
I just happen to have one of these, and I was going to use that for mine today because I used it this weekend. What I did is last week I had some buffering issues with the router coming in, so I wanted a hardwire, and I needed to know which wire was upstairs in my original router with the Wi-Fi in it, and where it came into this wires nest of stuff down in the telephone company's panel. They're the ones that provide the internet. So we just took this, put the signals up on the top of that, went down, beep, there it was right there. So it's a great tool to have. Yeah, and the other thing that we've used this for is if somebody comes in pre-wired for solar up in the roof, but the label came off, then you run the tone in here, go up on the roof, and we've literally gone, it'll go down almost an inch. You don't have to be right on the wire itself. to be able to find it. So pretty cool thing. So let's move on. I have one. I'm going to do real quick here. This is a water purity tester. And what this does is I originally had one from Intellitech, but I don't think it's made anymore because I cannot find it out in the market except on eBay and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's 2 probes. You see them at the bottom of it. And if you think when you get to a campground, remember you've got well water that you're using there, and you're not, once a year they have to do a test with the local municipals and then put a MSDS sheet up there. But that's it. You don't know what's happening throughout the rest of the year. You put this in a cup of the water, you pull out of the faucet in there, and it literally it tests continuity. So the theory is the more particles in it you have, the more stuff that's in there, the less connectivity you'll have. So you'll see this meter like in the green there, and then it gives you 50 is pretty much what bottled water is, and it's acceptable up to about 300 or 400. There's a little label on it. Real easy to use. So there's a spot you can get here. I think we probably need to do let's do the contest since everybody's here right now. And Snoop, did you get your hashtag straw in? I see Snoopy just got up on the comments. I want to make sure he got in here. Where are you at? Hashtag straw, Snoopy. There you got it. Good. Okay. Yahoo. All right, here we go.
And this is totally random, so even if he got called.
Snoopy's one of my regulars. It's and
Hey, all right.
Raymond,
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Raymond. You won the straw. Now I can't even think of what it is. Life
straw, yeah.
Life straw.
If you're a prepper, that's exactly what you need in your box.
Exactly. So let's back up here. We had a couple questions when doing generators. So we got that one. Scale of 1.0. Aquahot's on vacation. Terry says solar panels unless you have a great big battery bank. And you're right.
And they don't charge.
Wants to know if gas and diesel engines need to be exercised the same. And diesel doesn't need to be exercised quite as often or as long because of varnish. That's the big thing with the gas is that you get, cheap gas, you get varnish in those that are going to gum up that carburetor. But diesel, you still want to do it, and propane, just to lubricate the seals and,
Yep.
get it.
Something real quick for diesel and gas units. If, in an RV, unless you're full timing and you're traveling a lot, check into a product that's made by Fueltron or Startron, excuse me. So Startron is made by Starbright, and it's a fuel additive that actually is an enzyme that goes in. And if you have bad gas in your tank, it will eat it and reverse it. And then it makes the fuel stable for up to 2 years. So,
I've had bad gas because of eating it and reversing it.
That's the truth, right?
I've had a couple pressure and put that chemical in and just cycle through the engine through the carburetor, Dave. And within a couple of days, came back and fired right up. And I thought, okay, I'm going to have to buy carburetor.
And that is one of the things, if you look at one of the articles we wrote about maintenance and winterizing an engine, that Onan has a procedure they go through with an anti-fog down the spark plug
we do that
area,
too.
and then also this product that you can run up through, which is a cleaning product. So we're running a little bit out of time here. 2018 Grand Design leaking around the window, and it's starting to delaminate. Yeah. So go ahead and hit that one.
So Raymond, check all your, basically when you look at the window, I don't know if you have a frameless window or you have a regular window. If it's a framed window, a lot of times it's a misperception when you see the thickness of that black frame on the outside and you're thinking, hey, that whole perimeter is covered for a good 3/4 of an inch. Most of the time it's not that case. When they've cut out the window and put it in place, sometimes it's just barely making like an 1/8 inch or 1/4 inch of contact. So check the torque in the window itself. If you need to pull it, put some putty tape behind it, cap seal around the whole window. Some people just want to do the top side, generally do all the way around.
Yeah.
You can also, if the window's out, you can actually coat the inside edge of the window. That'll protect it from getting worse. But
once it's
there, the delam it's bad. So
if it's starting to delaminate, I would take the window out because it's either settled You see that sometimes where they put it in and they use a butyl tape most of the time, which you putty tape.
Yeah.
And it's just about a 3/4 inch to an inch thick, and it goes around the edge, and they put it in, and it sandwiches like putty all the way around the outside. But if that starts to settle, and I don't know how Grand Design cuts their window frames out. I know Winnebago uses a CNC router, so you don't see much of that. But I would imagine Grand Design probably did template, and
they do too. It's just sometimes it's when you're putting the window in, it's so small the tolerances if it got shifted to either side.
Yep. So we are at 6:58. We got our stuff going. Merry Christmas, exactly. Let me run through.
Merry Christmas to everybody.
So just a reminder, we won't be here next Wednesday.
Yep.
Exactly. Next Wednesday we're out. One other thing is, how do you prevent mold under the mattress? There's a product called H2. Now I can't even think of what it is. I'm going to write an article about it. I had a guy send me a sample from it, Chuck, who we did an article about mold earlier and damp rid, and I just got them. Haven't been able to bring them out yet. And it is a canister with the silicone beads, those little silica, they call it, and stuff you get in your electronics in the little packets. So he raves about it. So we'll do some testing with that, and I'll try to get it back in. And last week we talked about winterizing. This is the one I wanted to take a look at here. That forgot the Blackwater tank. So you typically have a hookup for your Blackwater flush valve and a hose that goes to the tank. Very seldom is the tank right at the edge of the service compartment, and that hose is going to have water in it. So you will have to either blow that out, with the compressed air, or get some antifreeze in it somehow to get it in there, because I've seen several of them now that has frozen up and cracked, and you don't even know it.
I've even had somebody put pictures of frozen antifreeze lately too.
If you're trying to get it in there, the best way to do it is if you have a throwaway hose or a hose that's special, like made for, you use it for winterizing, you can take the antifreeze product, pour it into the hose, and then connect your hose to that, and that will push it in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Other than that, the water, really the air is going to be the easiest.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. All right. Well, that brings us up to the end. We got our Oscar-winning music going, and so everybody have a great.
Thanks everybody.
Yeah.
Yep.
We've got a great year.
Everybody about it.
Continue
And we'll see you in the
See you in 2023.
We'll see you next year.
Next year.
Thank
you so much for joining us on today's live stream. If you think today's content was helpful, let us know by hitting the like button or share it with a friend.
We'll be right back here next Wednesday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We hope to see you then.